My, what a lovely crowd. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please welcome Student Government Association President Benjamin Judge.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the University of North Carolina at Asheville. My name is Ben Judge, and I serve as a student body president at this wonderful institution. I want to personally thank all of you for coming to our campus and being part of this very unique experience. I want to welcome you to the Charles Justice Center, home to the UNC Asheville women's volleyball team. Today, thanks to the sponsorship of two of our student organizations, Students for Obama and College Democrats, we have the pleasure of welcoming to the Justice Center the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden. While Mr. Biden has visited our campus some 30 years ago as a new senator, this is the first time a sitting vice president has visited our campus, but hopefully it's not the last time. UNC Asheville is pleased to offer a forum for the discourse of ideas, and so on behalf of all of our students, faculty, and staff, I want to welcome Vice President Biden and each of you. Welcome to UNC Asheville.
Please rise and welcome Katie Lynn Schwall to sing the national anthem.
Twilight's
Please welcome Congressman Heath Schuler.
Hello, everybody. There wouldn't happen to be a UNCA Bulldogs in the house, would there? You know, it's real fitting that we're here on college campus. And you start looking at the difference between President Obama, Vice President Biden's policy, and the Romney-Ryan plan when it comes to helping college students make college affordable. Well, I'm actually on the budget committee, so I get the opportunity to see all the budgets come forth. And I started investigating. I said, now how are we going to move our country forward? How are we going to move in the right direction? What are the policies going to make that next generation of workforce be the best in the world? Well, one of the first things I looked at was about the education policy between the two candidates. I first looked at President Obama's policy and recognized pretty quickly a president who has already stood up for students throughout this country. Help providing that financial assistance through Pell Grants that will enable our students to continue to go to college and afford them the opportunity to get a great education right here in Asheville, North Carolina. And then I just happened to see that other budget. And I started looking at it, and one of the quotes that they say is, "A promise that we just can't keep." That's Pell Grants. So many of your parents are looking for these Pell Grants to help assist you. So many of our parents actually went through the Pell Grant program to be able to afford college themselves. This is a program that we need to keep and sustain. And there's only one way to do that, is to make sure that other budget never gets an opportunity in the White House. I hate to use a sports analogy, but I kind of know sports pretty well. And let's use a basketball analogy since we got such great basketball program here at UNCA. So in 2006, we won big, right? And we were able to take back the Congress. In 2008, we won big again. And then halftime come along, and we went into the third quarter, unfortunately. And 2010 rolled around, and I promise you, folks, it was bad and it was ugly. To be able to go to Washington and have to deal with some of the folks that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis and look at some of the policies that Governor Romney is proposing that have already looked, that we've had a chance to look at in the U.S. House. It's not policy that will put our country in the right direction. It's not policy that is going to make our children and grandchildren proud of the work that we've done. That's not the policy. So now we're in the fourth quarter. And it is time for us, as people who care about others, care about those who are less fortunate, care about those who need a little helping hand, and care about those that you can say that the future is bright because of the work that President Obama has been able to propose. We have an opportunity this coming election to be able to put some of the best work at hand. Now, we've already seen this Bush recession and how long that's lasted, right? And we've seen how the U.S. House has been able to disrupt every piece of policy that's gone forth in the last year. That's not the direction in which we want to go. We want to keep the focus on the next generation and the next future. And there's only one way that we can do that, is that's to make sure that when Vice President Biden comes in the door here, that we give him the biggest welcome we could ever ask for in Asheville, North Carolina. But even better than that, early voting will start soon. And at that point in time, we have an opportunity to put North Carolina, shade it blue again. Now, North Carolina, we have our work cut out for us. We have our work cut out for us. But all of you, I know, will grab folks and take them to the polls. You will pick them up. You will pick up the phone and call them to make sure they're voting. Don't assume anything. This election is far too important to assume anything at this point. It's time for us to get out and work hard. We know what works like. We know we can do it, and we have done it before. Get every Democrat, independent, and swayable Republican to vote for President Obama. It's time we take the fight to them, and it's time that we work hard. And just remember this, when you get that opportunity to go in the booth and vote, that you're voting for a great future of this country. We don't need to go backwards, folks. We need to go forward. Now, I'm not running in this election, and I feel very fortunate that you guys have been able to bless me with lots of votes and an opportunity to represent you in Washington. And I also have a gentleman who has been working with me for all 6 years. Hayden Rogers is his name. Let's make sure we put Hayden Rogers in the U.S. House so he can continue fighting for the working families of Western North Carolina. And when we're talking about someone who's willing to fight for North Carolina, we certainly have to put Walter Dalton at the top of that list. So in just a minute, Walter Dalton's going to come out. Let's give him the biggest welcome back home, because he's from Western North Carolina. He knows where Western North Carolina is, that we can possibly give him. Continue your hard work. Let's give Joe Biden one of the greatest welcomes he's ever had anywhere in this country, right here in Asheville, North Carolina. God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lieutenant Governor and candidate for governor, Walter Dalton.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. As they said, I'm Walter Dalton. I'm your Lieutenant Governor. I'm the candidate for governor, and I'm happy to be home in Western North Carolina. I want to thank Heath Schuler for his friendship and his leadership. My wife, Lucille, and I are happy to be with you today as we welcome Vice President Biden to Western North Carolina. Is everybody here ready to give him a great UNCA, a Western North Carolina welcome? And it's wonderful to have him here with us at a time that the stakes could not be higher for North Carolina. In this election, we are really talking about two fundamentally different visions for our country and our state. There's the Republican plan, which wants to send us back to failed policies of the past. That's what got us into this economic crisis in the first place. Or there's President Obama's plan, the Democratic plan, to move us forward. Now, one vision, or lack of vision, gives tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires, while the other one asks Americans to pay their fair share. One vision, or lack of vision, slashes funding for education, for infrastructure, slashes funding for research, for defense, and for pretty much slashing everything our country needs to function. Now, the other plan is a balanced plan for deficit reduction, paid for by closing the loopholes in our tax code. If you like that, you're going to like this. Winding down two wars and making sure everyone does their part and pays their fair share. It's very obvious that Mitt Romney and the Republican candidates have the wrong ideas about getting us back on track. We've tried their way, and it did not work. Now, more than ever, we need President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden's strong leadership to continue to move our country forward. If you get out and vote this November, we can get there. We'll get there for the country. We'll get there for the state. I'm looking forward to working with you to move North Carolina forward. I know you've been working hard all year to make sure we keep North Carolina blue. We've come so far together, and we've got to keep pushing until the end. So make sure you get out there, register yourself, register your friends, register your family, and then come out and vote early. The Vice President, the President, and I need your help. So thank you. Here in North Carolina, it's never been easier to vote early. In 2008, more people voted early than on Election Day, and the same will likely be true this year. If you have any questions whatsoever, just visit vote.barackobama.com, which will help you find out where you need to go and how to vote. So don't wait until November the 6th to show the world that 2008 was not a fluke. Election Day for us begins October the 18th. I want to see all of you out there. Working together, we will turn North Carolina blue, and working together, we'll build that better future and move us forward. Thank you.
Please welcome James Whalen and Caitlin Gibbs.
everyone. My name is Caitlin Gibbs, and I am the president of UNC Asheville College Democrats.
I'm James Whalen. I'm president of Students for Obama and a fellow here in North Carolina.
It's our job today to make sure this crowd is fired up. Are you fired up? Fired up?
Fired up!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready for Joe?
Ready for Joe!
Ready for Joe?
Ready for Joe!
For the next 35 days, it's my job to help you put this energy to use, to bring you into the President's grassroots organization and to stand with you as we work tirelessly to re-elect President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden here in North Carolina. In 2008, we won the battle for North Carolina, and it has paid off for these last 4 years. But to win this state again, it's going to take all of us working together. For students especially, the stakes couldn't be higher in this election. We've got to make sure the team is right in this office, fighting so we can have access to affordable health care, good jobs, and a great education like the one we're receiving here at UNC Asheville. Supporters throughout North Carolina haven't stopped working since we made history almost 4 years ago. You have helped register new voters and make countless phone calls. You have done so much for your community and to re-elect President Obama and Vice President Biden in this important battleground state. But all that work will be for nothing if we don't keep it going through this final stretch. Thursday, October 18th, is the first day of early voting. Starting that day, you can cast your vote for President Obama and Vice President Biden. At the early voting location here on campus, which is actually right here in the arena we're standing in today, if you have any questions whatsoever, just visit www.vote.barackobama.com, which can help you find out where, when, and how to vote. And after you vote early, you can show your support for our incredible president and vice president and volunteer to help more people vote. We have so many reasons to get involved and so many things to be thankful for.
I came to college thanks to a good public school education. I have so many friends who are here thanks to Pell Grants and scholarships. We are fighting for real things that affect everyday people every day in major ways, real stuff. So the truth is, if we waste even one afternoon, one evening, or one weekend just watching the news or talking about the election with our friends who are already on board, that is time we could be spending registering a new voter, persuading someone who is undecided, or motivating someone to vote early. Vote early, here. Every hour you have to spare, our president and our vice president and this country can use it. And we sure as hell could use it. So come and see us. Help us knock on doors, make phone calls, and bring your friends and family. We have an amazing team here, making sure that all of you are registered to vote and signed up to help out. They'll be going around with clipboards from now till November 6th. Please take advantage and sign up to volunteer. That way we won't just see each other today, but we'll start to work together and make sure we win in November. And we will win in November. Now, if you're on your phone all the time like I am, go ahead and take it out and hold it in the air. Please and thank you. There we go. You can keep recording and taking pictures. Just hold it up. Many of you are already volunteering or have signed up, but let's all commit to do one more for the president and vice president. Commit to one shift right now by texting. You got your phones? text the message NC, like the state, to 62262, which spells Obama. Hey, I'm getting a phone call. 62262, it spells Obama. You know how to spell Obama? Yeah. NC to Obama. It's that simple. And while you're at it, you can now also donate 5, 10, or however much you can to the campaign right now by simply texting GIVE to the same number, 62262. Got it? Your contribution will be charged to your cell phone bill, and it'll make a big difference in proving that it'll be ordinary Americans, not the special interests, who will decide this election. And you can also download the Obama 2012 smartphone app if you have a smartphone, which is a cutting-edge tool that will connect you with a campaign in your community, this community. We want to make sure you have the latest information and tools so that you can jump on board and give us whatever time you have. Lastly, I want to remind you that you are the most important part of this campaign. Not the president, not the vice president, not us, you guys. One more phone conversation, one more voter registered, one more door knocked could be the difference between winning or losing in a critical state like this one. And this could be the most critical state in the country. So sign up, show up, and let's go win this thing together and get fired up. Are you fired up? You fired up? Thank you.
Please welcome Obama for America Neighborhood Team Leader Pat Deck.
Thank you. My name is Pat Deck, and I first want to say how happy I am to see all of the youth out here volunteering and getting involved in this campaign. But as you can tell, I'm working on the other end. I am a Seniors for Obama neighborhood team leader here in Asheville. Helping to re-elect President Obama and Vice President Biden. When I look to President Obama and Vice President Biden, I see leaders who understand people like me. I know they're looking out for me and for my family. This means access to health care. It means preserving the security of retirement for current and future generations. It means investing in education, keeping class size small. It means college will be affordable so students in the next generation can have a brighter future. It means supporting small businesses and honoring our military veterans, our nation's veterans. But as you've heard from others, President Obama and Vice President Biden can't do this alone. They need our help to make it happen, the North Carolina way. And that means from these beautiful mountains in western North Carolina to our eastern seashores and everywhere in between, we have to talk to our friends and neighbors and our families about what President Obama and Vice President Biden have accomplished and how we can continue to make change happen. We have to recruit new volunteers, we have to register new voters, and most importantly, we have to get people to the polls to vote. Now, we don't have to wait until November to keep North Carolina blue for President Obama. Early voting starts October 18th. What day? October 18th, which means we get in, we cast our votes, and then we get back to work doing what we do best, and that is working hard to re-elect President Obama and Vice President Biden. Now, you can still register to vote during early voting, so that means we're going to be working harder than ever. So now I'd like to introduce to you our Vice President. He's a man who comes from a hardworking middle-class family such as mine. And he knows and understands what each of us is going through in our daily lives. He knows our country should be moving in only one direction, and that direction is forward. Both he and the president have fought for us, and we need now to fight for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a wonderful Asheville welcome to our Vice President of these United States, Joe Biden.
Making my dreams come true.
Good to see you all. Hello, Bulldogs. I tell you what, thank you all for being here. I tell you what, every time I come to Asheville, I don't want to go home. What a beautiful place. I want to thank Pat for that introduction. Pat and I are old buddies. We've met before, and it was great of her to do this. And I just want to tell you the truth. I met your chancellor, and we're riding in. I got two senior staff people with me in the limo, and one of them turns to me and says, Chancellor, and the chairman of the board is here as well, Madam Chair, and says, you know, God, if they had a liberal arts state university in a place like this where I was, I wouldn't have gone where I went. And so please all have a seat. If you have a seat, take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to, with your permission, invite two of my friends to come up on stage with me. I know you've already met with them, but I'd like the Lieutenant Governor Walter Dalton to come up if he's willing to join me. And Congressman Heath Shuler. See, I wanted to grow up to be like Heath. I thought I was a good football player in high school. I was pretty good. A couple colleges, thought maybe it was worth my coming to see them and maybe play ball for them. I went to college, and I went to college. He went to college and turned things upside down, man. I tell you what, Heath, I only have one regret today, that you're not going to stay in the United States Congress. That's my one regret, and I really mean it. Look, this is a busman's holiday for you guys, but it's really a busman's holiday for our mayor. Mayor, where are you? Madam Mayor, where are you sitting?
Good to see you again. Great to see you. You've been a good friend. Thank you. The president sends his regards, for real. Asked me to send you regards. And by the way, I notice up there, 2012, 44, 1, 44. I just want you to know my number is 47. So you got 44 and 47 up there, you know what I mean? Now, we got it right in my shop. We don't have to worry about anybody yelling. Well, anyway, they yell Obama Biden, and that's the way it should be. But the other team, anyway, I don't know. Look, before I get started, and you don't want to get me started, but before I get started, I want to remind you again what you reminded a number of times. And by the way, there's a couple hundred people in the overflow hall here. I apologize for them not being able to get in, but I hope they can hear me, and I want to thank them again for being here and staying here. But you know, as I told them, October 12th is the last day you can register. And you all know about close elections in North Carolina. You know about close elections. I go back to Senate races where close elections, and I go back to our election last time, how close it was here. And so, folks, if you're not registered, we have folks with clipboards on the way out who can get you started in the process. And if you know anybody who's not registered, get their phone number to us. Give it to the folks outside. We will move to try to get them registered. This is going to be very close because, and you know, folks, we win North Carolina, we win. Folks, let me get right to it here. Let me get right to it here. It is not an exaggeration to suggest that the country faces the starkest choice for president in my memory. Literally the starkest choice. The differences could not be more apart, more starkly different. It's almost like we have two incumbents running because the other team's position has so clearly been staked out. Whether it's on matters of physical security or matters regarding to our economic stability, what we have is and there'll be a profound impact on social policies that affect all of you, particularly women and minorities. There's no group. There's no group of Americans. There's no group of Americans for whom this election matters more than all of you on the campuses all across America today. And you know what? It's extremely important that both the political parties tell you exactly where they stand and where they want to take the country. You know, when Governor Romney reached down and appointed and asked Congressman Ryan, and by the way, I'm not being solicitous here. They're both decent men. They both are good family men, and they both are obviously good husbands. But there's where the differences end among us. Their view, no, I'm serious, their value set and their vision for America is starkly different than Barack and me. But here's the point I want to make to you. When Governor Romney reached out and asked Paul Ryan to join him, all of a sudden, those vague assertions that Governor Romney had been making up to now, they took on clarity. It became absolutely crystal clear. Because when he picked Paul Ryan, he said he was picking him for the fact that he was the intellectual center of the Republican Party in the House. No, for real. This is deadly earnest. Because these guys really mean, understand this. I really mean it now, not a joke. They really mean, Paul Ryan means what he's been saying and writing for the past 14 years. He means it. And so when Governor Romney picked him, all of a sudden, all the blanks got filled in on all these vague assertions that Governor Romney had been making. It's almost as if there are two incumbents running. And here's what I mean by that. The entire Ryan budget, now the Romney-Ryan budget, on everything from debt to Social Security to education, has already been voted on in the House of Representatives. Heath can tell you. They have introduced it. It's passed the Republican-dominated House of Representatives. And so you don't have to wonder what it will be like. I'm not being facetious. If Governor Romney and Paul Ryan are elected. Because what they've laid out starkly in getting the votes they get in the Republican House is what Governor Romney wants to do, quote, from his perspective, for America. And ladies and gentlemen, the differences are immense. I was asked last year at a conference, I'm supposedly an expert on foreign policy. When you read about me, among other things, they'll occasionally say, Biden was picked because of expertise in foreign policy, et cetera. Well, I know, as you all know, an expert's anyone from out of town with a briefcase. I do not have a briefcase with me. But I spend a lot of time on national security issues and foreign policy, as both previously in my incarnation in the Senate, but also as vice president. And I was attending a conference, a closed conference with some of my counterparts, intelligence chiefs and defense ministers and security people from other nations who are partnering with us. And I spoke to this group, and I was asked at the end of it, the closing question was, Mr. Vice President, what does America have to do? What does America have to do to be able to continue to lead the world in the 21st century? And I gave them an answer that I think surprised them. But when they thought about it, they knew I was right. I said, America has to be the best educated nation in the world. And that is literally true. My wife, who teaches full-time as a community college professor, has an expression. Yeah, she's something else, my wife. Thank you. I shouldn't tell you this, but I was campaigning in Florida on the West Coast, and I walked into a deli, and there were a lot of people outside being very nice and hollering and saying hi, and this one crowd started yelling, "Where's Jill? Where's Jill?" And I said, she's teaching. And I walked in the deli, and I walked in, and it was a very impressive lady walked up to me, and she said, Mr. Vice President, you must have a great deal of self-confidence. And I thought, where's this going? And I just looked at it. True story. I promise you, Chancellor. She said, true story. I said, I didn't say anything. I just kept my mouth shut. And she looked at me. She said, it has to take a lot of self-confidence to be married to a woman who's so beautiful and so very smart. Like you, dummy. How can you do it? But but she's got it right. She's got it right. But my wife has an expression. Jill has an expression. I mean this sincerely. She says, any nation that out-educates us will outcompete us. Any nation that out-educates us will outcompete us. So I'd like to take a minute and talk to you a little bit about the fundamentally different points of view we have on education, the Romney-Ryan ticket and the Obama-Biden ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact is that it's in our national interest, it's in the national interest of the United States of America that we move from 14th in the world in the percent of people we graduate from college back to #1 again. It's in our national interest. It's in the interest of our physical security, as well as our economic well-being. So we set a goal. We set a goal that we'd have the highest percentage of college graduates by 2020. That's why we've worked so incredibly hard to see to it that every qualified young woman and young man in America has access to college, regardless of what neighborhood they come from. Again, it's not just about equity and fairness. It's about security. It's about security. It's about America's future. 6 out of 10 jobs over the next decade are going to require a certificate or degree beyond high school. 6 out of 10. We can't compete unless we are better educated. 4-year colleges, community colleges, special training certificates. That's why we've teamed up with community colleges to help train American workers in the skills that those companies are going to need. Because we already have 600,000 jobs out there waiting. We don't have qualified personnel to take them in advanced manufacturing. That's the case today. We also provided a $2,500 a year tax credit per child and per family in order to allow middle-class families like the ones I grew up in to be able to have a shot to get their kids to college. We stopped paying $60 billion to banks. The banks were not doing anything wrong, but we were paying them $60 billion over 10 years to process student loans. We said, we're going to stop that. Every Republican voted against it. We stopped it, though, and guess what? We took that $60 billion and we increased the number of students in college on Pell Grants from 6 million to 9 million. No new taxes. And because I know, not just from statistics, but from my own personal experience, that the average graduating senior is going to get a diploma and a $25,000 bill. And I'm told here, though, in Asheville, you have the lowest percentage of debt of college graduates. We want to get the rest of the country like you all. But because of the incredible debt people are graduating with, the president had an idea to say, if in fact you graduate with a debt, you don't have to pay back, you have to pay back your loan. But you don't have to pay back any more than 10% of your disposable income per year in order to pay back that loan. Look, folks, Jill and I and Michelle and Barack, and I really mean this sincerely, we have something in common. We know none of us would be where we are today. None of us would have the opportunity to stand before any of you had it not been for loans. Oh, thank you. Had it not been for loans as well as scholarships. No chance. None. None. And by the way, we don't think that generates a culture of dependency. We don't think that generates a culture of dependency. So here's what we've done. We've invested in early education to eliminate the achievement gap. We've insisted on higher standards for students, teachers, administrators, elementary and secondary schools. My mom used to have an expression. She'd say, honey, children tend to become that what you expect of them. We expect a lot of our children and our teachers and our administrators. The reason why we'll meet that goal, the highest percentage of college graduates, is because we're improving secondary elementary education. For Romney and Ryan, public education, access to college is literally an afterthought. Think about it. I'm not being facetious. It's an afterthought. As a matter of fact, it's worse than an afterthought. Ryan and Romney's budget makes massive cuts in education. $4.9 billion a year in special education, elementary education, and secondary education, knocking 200,000 children out of early education, eliminating the $2,500, this is on the record, eliminating $2,500 tax credit for your families, cutting Pell Grants by $1,000 a year for those 9 million students. God knows how many will have to drop out. Ladies and gentlemen, eliminating the 10% cap. They want, once again, to make the banks the arbiter, the middleman in the student loans, raising the cost to the government $60 billion over 10 years. Where do you think they're going to go to find that money? Look, the Romney-Ryan budget doesn't do anything for education, but it sure does a lot to it. It exacts a very heavy price. Look, it literally mortgages our position on the future. And their position on the national debt does the same thing. If you listen to their convention, they had that big clock up there with the national debt, and they talked about the urgency, and it is an urgent problem. We've been trying to solve. We've already cut $1 trillion in the long-term debt, but it's an urgent problem. But guess what? They tell you it's urgent, but they never once tell you how. They never once mention how they're going to deal with that problem. At the convention, I said they acknowledged that the president was dealt a difficult hand in the recession of 2008. But if you listen to them, you'd think, my God, in September 2008, this recession dropped out of the sky, boom! All of a sudden, where did it come from? How did it happen? I'm serious. Think about the way they talk about it. It's like, how did it happen? I have 4 beautiful granddaughters. My number 4 granddaughter, she would say, Pop, did Casper the ghost do it? How did it happen? How did it get here? Look, I'll tell you how it happened. The last time these guys were in charge for 8 years, they put 2 wars on a credit card. They refused to pay a single penny for a new entitlement program for prescription drugs, and they added $1 trillion tax cut for millionaires and billionaires, all unpaid for. Look, these are the facts. The result is, in 8 years, they doubled the national debt, doubled it. The result was they generated the slowest private sector job growth since World War II. And the result is they left us with, on the first week came to office, with $1 trillion deficit for that year because the budget starts in October. And on top of it, they gave us the Great Recession of 2008, which culminated in 8 years of decline of the middle class and crushed them. Look, people, Romney and Ryan folks who are here are going to, talk about, they're watching, I hope, what I'm saying. What they're going to say is, well, Biden, and this is what Congressman Ryan and Governor Romney said, Biden's always talking the blame game. Look, that's not why I mention any of this. The reason I raise it is, you're all taught by your grandmoms and grandpops when you're kids. You can't solve a problem unless you know what caused the problem. You can't solve a problem unless you know what caused the problem. And I was a, quote, high-ranking senator for an awful lot of years. Whenever we had crises before, one team or the other would acknowledge, okay, maybe we have to do something different. But these guys have come back, and they refuse to acknowledge what caused this god-awful economic crisis in the first place. You all lost $16 trillion, and your parents, in the equity in your homes, evaporated, gone. You watched your retirement accounts, if you have retirement accounts, you watched them get eaten alive. So it shouldn't be a surprise. Shouldn't be a surprise that they're unwilling to do anything reasonable about getting the debt under control if they won't even reasonably acknowledge that their policies of these hemorrhaging tax cuts and eliminating regulations on Wall Street and the banks got us where we were in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, on the debt, they talk to you about the debt, but they've rejected every serious bipartisan solution put forward, as well as the $4 trillion proposal we put forward. Because every plan that they put forward, the very bipartisan commission on which Ryan sat, headed by an incredibly sophisticated North Carolinian Erskine Bowles, the Simpson-Bowles Committee, every one of those plans required significant cuts in spending over the next 10 years, but also some new revenues. Congressman Ryan voted against the very commission on which he sat, denying the Congress the ability to vote on it, up or down. And now they talk about the need for doing something about the debt. Governor Romney, when asked, and asked again recently, but in a debate, Governor, would you support a debt reduction plan if it cut $10 in spending for every $1 it raised in revenue? He said, remember, no. Look, folks, these guys act like compromise is a dirty word, is a bad idea. Ladies and gentlemen, they voted against every proposal to reduce the national debt if it included, I'm not exaggerating now, one thin dime in additional taxes on people making over $1 million. Literally. So much for their concern about the national debt. The amazing thing is, if you listen to their convention, what startled me the most is they discovered the middle class. It's like, whoa, there it is. The middle class. They talked about how they valued the middle class. They value the things middle class folks value. I can tell you, as a middle class guy, what my neighborhood you value. You value the ability to own your home, not just rent it. To be able to send your kid to a good school, not a lousy school. To be able to get your kid to college if they qualify. Be able to help your parents if they're in trouble. And hope that you can put enough away so you don't have to ask help from your children. That's what middle class is. It's not a number. It's not a number. So let's look. Oh, they say they value those middle class values. My dad used to have an expression, his name was Joe, and people come up to him and say, Joe, let me tell you what I value. My dad would say, Charlie, don't tell me what you value. Show me your budget. I will tell you what you value. Show me your budget. I will tell you what you... So let's take a look at their budget. Let's talk about what they're proposing for the American people, for the middle class they value so much. Their budget slashes 19 million people off of Medicaid. And they kind of brush it aside like they're all poor folk. They're not all poor folk. There are millions of children and millions of seniors. It cuts benefits and turns Medicaid from a guarantee. It cuts benefits from folks who, in fact, are on Medicare and Medicaid, most of whom in nursing homes are senior citizens of middle-class backgrounds. It cuts Medicaid for those middle-class families with kids with autism, kids with chronic diseases. What are these folks going to do? In addition, it cuts Medicare benefits. It turns Medicare from a guaranteed system into a voucher program. It slashes Social Security for your generation. It won't take the time to take you into it. But the truth is it does. It's all on the beneficiary side. All for what reason? People, when I say this to other groups, they look at me like, well, why would they really do that? Well, they have to do it, folks. They have to do it in order to, in the service of the massive tax cuts they want to maintain and add. Tax cuts that the wealthy didn't ask for. And I come from a very wealthy state. We have the first or second highest per capita income in the nation. I represented for 30 years. Very wealthy folks are just as patriotic as poor folks. Wealthy folks are just as patriotic as middle-class folks. But they didn't ask for these tax cuts. They don't need them. Let me give you an example of what they want to maintain in the interest of time to illustrate it for you. Of the extension of the top 2% tax cut, $800 billion of that tax cut goes to people with a minimum income of $1 million. They don't need the help. They're not doing it. And by the way, $500 billion over the next 10 years goes to 120,000 families. Hear me now? 120,000 families. And on top of that, Romney and Ryan have laid out, clear as day, they want another tax cut for people making over $1 million that averages $250,000 a year, because these guys are, I guess, the job creators. And in the process, there's an outfit called the Tax Policy Center, made up of Democrats and Republicans from former administrations. And they take all these tax plans we all put out and they put them through the ringer. They put them through the econometric models. And here's what this bipartisan Tax Policy Center said. If Romney were able to implement his tax policy, it would result in middle-class families with children seeing their taxes go up $2,000. $2,000 a family. Check it out on the website. Check it out on the Tax Policy Council. $2,000. And ladies and gentlemen, how can that be right? How can you cut another $500 billion off 120,000 families and have tens of millions of middle-class families have to pay $2,000 a year more? The middle class has done enough. They've done their part. It's time to help the middle class, not lay more burdens on the middle class. Look, folks, we have seen this movie before. We have seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. The movie, massive tax cuts for the wealthy, turning back the decisions to Wall Street and the banks to write the rules. It ended in a catastrophe for the middle class and the Great Recession of 2008, and we are not going back. The President and I have a different way forward. We are not going back. Just as we're beginning to pull the middle class up, we are not going back. That's a promise. And let me tell you how we're going to keep the middle class growing has finally begun to again. We're going to start with doubling our exports. People say, all the college students get this. Doubling exports is jobs. We've already seen exports since we've been in rise 36%, creating 1.2 million new jobs, sending products made in America overseas, not here. We're going to create 1 million new manufacturing jobs in the next 4 years. How? Legitimate question. By ending tax deductions for outsourcing and giving tax deductions for insourcing American manufacturing. By creating new manufacturing innovation institutes, bringing together manufacturers and research universities to ensure that the next generation of products are not only invented here, but built here in America. We are rejecting what the Washington Post called the Bain idea of being pioneers in outsourcing. We have outsourced enough. It's time to insource. We're going to cut imports of oil by half by 2020. How? By producing more American-made energy, generating thousands of good-paying jobs, oil, clean coal, significantly increasing natural gas, new renewable energies like wind, biofuels, solar, all of the above. And folks, also by conservation. Romney and Ryan argued and voted against our proposal, which has doubled fuel economy for trucks and vehicles by 2025, saving $1.7 trillion and over 12 billion barrels of oil within that period of time. This isn't rocket science. We have the most productive workers in the world. I'm so tired of hearing people talking about the productive workers in other countries. I want them to do well, but guess what? All the recent studies, including the Cambridge study, show that American workers are 3 times as productive as Chinese workers. 3 times as productive. But folks, we've got to ensure they not only remain the most productive, but the best trained and most competitive workforce in the world. And here's how we're going to do that. And hopefully some of you graduating college math and science students are going to help by preparing 100,000 additional math and science teachers in the next 10 years. By training 2 million workers for jobs available today with a new $8 billion investment between business and community colleges to train workers for specific jobs that exist right now, but for whom there are no qualified workers. There's 600,000 of them sitting there now. We're going to expand Pell Grants, and we're going to cut the growth of tuition nationwide in half over that period. And finally, we are going to. That's why elections are important. They're referenda on how to proceed. We are going to end this gridlock and cut the long-term debt by $4 trillion over this next decade. We've already cut $1 trillion in spending, and we're going to continue to insist that the wealthy pay a little more to help us with the problem. And folks, we are going to end the war in Afghanistan as we did in Iraq. End the war in Afghanistan as we did in Iraq. And in the process, save $840 billion over the next 10 years. Take half of it and pay down the debt, and the other half come home and invest in America. Building roads, bridges, schools, and creating in the process tens of thousands of good, decent paying jobs. Folks, a lot of you have been through an awful lot these past few years, particularly your parents. As I said, the middle class has been decimated. We lost 9 million jobs because of that Great Recession. By the time our program got passed, we hit the trough about 9 months out. Since then, we have created with the help of Heath and others, 5.1 million new private sector jobs. 5.1 new jobs. The middle class was buried by the policies of Romney and that Ryan supported. As Bill Clinton said, all they're suggesting now when he's asked about this, and he's the best, he made the comment, he said, what they're proposing is Bush economic policies on steroids. That's what this is. But folks, the middle class is coming back. It's coming back like Americans always do. Your parents and all of you, you fought back. You didn't lose faith. You didn't give up. You got up. Folks, there is no quit in America. There never has been. There is no quit in America, none. And one of the starkest differences in philosophy between Ryan and myself and Romney and Obama is on that point. Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan don't see it that way. They said nearly half of the American people are unwilling to take personal responsibility, the famous 47% comment. But here, by the way, I can get that. I could almost get it if they were talking about tax. By the way, 82% of those people pay federal taxes, but I won't go into that now, okay? And the rest pay taxes. People making 20 grand a year, and the New York Times survey they put out there shows that if you add in all the taxes they pay, from property taxes to sales taxes to state, they pay 17% of their income, $20,000, 17%. Romney pays 14% in federal taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, I realize I'm comparing apples and oranges. I don't know what all the taxes Romney pays, but guess what? It ain't close. Look, the part that upsets me the most about it, maybe because where I come from, is the idea that these guys actually think people like my mom and dad, my brothers and sisters, the neighborhoods I grew in, that we don't take responsibility for ourselves. I find it offensive. I find it offensive. The idea that we think we are dependent on the government, the neighborhood I come from, they find offensive. And the idea that somehow we are of the view that we feel ourselves as victims, my old neighborhood. Ladies and gentlemen, all their talk about the culture of dependency, about America being in decline. I, honest to God, my word is a Biden, I don't recognize the country they're talking about. Not where I live. Not the people I know. Not in the neighborhoods I come from. Not with the people I grew up with. Not with the people I meet every single day. We are so much better, so much stronger, so much more responsible than these guys give the American people credit for. It's not even funny. In all my time in public life, I have never seen a presidential candidate with such a profound misunderstanding of the American people. Ladies and gentlemen, America is neither dependent nor is America in decline. And I've got news for Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan. Gentlemen, it has never been a good bet to bet against the American people. Never. And speaking of bet, let me tell you where I place my money if I had it. Let me tell you where my bet on, and I mean this sincerely. I'm betting all of you in this post 9/11 generation. I am so absolutely confident that we are better positioned to lead the world than any nation through the 21st century. I am so certain. And the reason I am is because of you, my children, all of you that I see. Like Keith and others, I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq over 20 times. I've been up in those forward operating bases in the Konar Valley. I've been out in the deserts in Anbar province. I've seen these kids. I've seen your generation. You volunteer more than any generation, including the vaulted generation of the 60s when I was in college and graduate school. You are the most committed, well-educated, and most patriotic generation. I think you're going to go down as the most in American history. So, folks, I have absolute confidence about this country. The American people have never, ever let their country down when they've given a half a chance. And led by, I mean this sincerely, led by a generation like all of you. Think of the remarkable, the absolutely breathtaking changes that are going to take place on this campus, Chancellor, and all across America in the next 10 years. You are going to be the generation, not figuratively, that literally finds the cure for cancer. You are going to be the generation that has aircraft flying 25, 30,000 miles an hour, not 2,000 miles an hour. You are going to be the generation that makes the technological breakthroughs where you're going to be able to have 1 trillion calculations per second on computers, fundamentally altering our ability to deal with the human genome. All of this is there. All of this is sitting on the horizon. And I can't think, and I mean this sincerely, of a generation more qualified or more committed to hand these changes over than to all of you. So look, I mean this, and I know you read about me and they put me down the last 4 years, as Heath knows, as the White House optimist. As if my grandpa Finnegan would say, as if I fell off the turnip truck yesterday. I've been there in the White House longer than any have been around. I'm not new to this. No. I'm not new to this. And I can tell you with absolute certitude, I am more optimistic about the chances of this country, irrespective of Barack and me, the chances of this country in the 21st century than I was when I got elected as the second youngest man in history as a 29-year-old kid, not old enough to be sworn in. I am more optimistic because I know you, and I know what's happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, you will not let America down, and Barack and I will not let you down. And together we will win North Carolina. Together there will be 4 more years. Together the middle class will come back. Together America will once again have the strongest economy in the world for a long time to come. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Thank you.
Shotgun shack to the Superdome. There ain't no help the Calvary